Hey, what's up everybody? This is Muth24, and this is part 2 of my Master Grade Nu Gundam review. In the first part I went over the posability, the instruction manual, the colors, and then my custom paint job on the kit. And in this part I will be going over the weapons and accessories, as well as the stickers and decals. So starting off with the regular foil stickers here, you've got the eyes, you've got the camera on the front, and then another camera, much smaller one, on the back of the head there. You've got a little camera here on the on top of the chest, and then you've also got one on the top of the bazooka. You do get some of these orangey yellow stickers for the fin funnels, but from other reviews I've seen, they tend to come up after you bend the fin funnels more and more. So I just chose not to use them, and I went ahead and painted with a yellow that looked pretty similar. But before I even put the fin funnels on, I want to point out that these are the pieces in question here, these parts right above the joint that would normally have the sticker. But I find that that's kind of a lazy bit on Bandai's part. I mean, I realize this kit's a little bit older, but it's not like they couldn't have put another piece in there that was of a yellowish color underneath the white piece, because I have one here that goes underneath this vent cover here. So for the dry transfer decals, you do get a handful of them, and these are the ones that are left, and they're kind of cut out in all sorts of hodgepodge shapes there. But you've got Amuro's name in both black and white, same thing for the RX-93. You've got the Earth Federation, and then all these little red ones are supposed to go on the fin funnels, and I haven't actually put those on yet. But the ones that I did put on the kit already are this big Nu Gundam sign, or sorry, Amuro's little logo there, the RX-93 logo, the Earth Federation one. I put Amuro's name on the side of the cockpit, and then the new symbol on the opposite side. With a lot of these, they don't exactly tell you where to put them, so it's kind of up to interpretation. I think the only ones that they actually tell you are these three, and then the one here on the shield, which is the unicorn there, and I screwed up the application of it on the very tip, so I just went ahead and made a blast mark over top of that. But if you don't want to use all the dry transfer decals, you can use these stickers instead, and you can see you get the same symbols for the shield and the shoulder in the sticker form. And then you get a bunch of like caution logos and whatnot, and I've just kind of put those wherever I felt like they belonged, with the exception of like these ones on the arms are actually supposed to go there. There's a couple on the backside legs above the thruster covers there. Got ones on the back skirt thrusters, a couple on the backpack itself, and then I also went ahead and put some on the rifle and on the bazooka. One thing I should note with this kit is that it does have a lot of screws in it, particularly for the arms and the legs. And if you can see here, it might not show up all that well on the camera, but there's a bit of a gap between this piece and that piece where they should be really close together, you know, looking as though they're one flush part of the arm. That's because the screw in this area here at the elbow joint didn't go in all the way. That could just be a problem on mine. It probably is just how I went and screwed the thing in, but just be aware of that if you're considering getting this kit. As with basically any Master Grade, you get a tiny figure pilot of Amuro Ray, and the rifle, which overall I think looks pretty nice, can just pop right into his hand there, and then the finger will slide up to the trigger there, but as you can see, he doesn't really hold it all that well. And it's kind of odd because he has this hole in the hand, which you would think maybe a peg would go into or something, but there are no pegs to be found on any of his weapons. The bazooka, on the other hand, does have a moving handle here, and if you can position it over the shoulder, and have to bend his elbow a little bit, it will hold much better, and you can kind of pose it side to side and angle a little bit more, and it'll stay just fine. And when you're not using the bazooka, you can just slide it into his backpack. Taking the beam saber out of his backpack here, you'll notice that there's a little hinge on the handle, and that there is a opening for a beam in the top as well as one in the bottom. Now the one for the top has this big curved beam effect part, which looks really nice. And then for the bottom, you have a small like beam dagger bit, which will just pop right into there snugly enough. And then you can stick it in his hand, and he will hold on to it relatively securely. This arm has a slide mechanism which you can pull back, and then a hinge which can flip up for the second beam saber handle. And if you can angle it right, you can make it look like the Nu Gundam's almost reaching over to his other arm for his second beam saber. That beam saber handle that is lodged in his arm is in there pretty tightly, so it does take some wiggling to get it out. But you do get a separate beam from the other one to go onto this handle. Just pop that right in there, and he will hold onto that pretty solidly as well. The shield has some nice detail here in the vents, and as you can see, I went ahead and put some blast marks across it, dirtied it up to keep with the whole battle scarred theme. But on the inside here, you've got this ball joint peg, which allows it to rotate 360 no problem. It gets some wiggle room, and you're just going to connect with these two small pegs onto the arm here, over top of the second beam saber. And then you've also got some little missiles underneath there, which I think adds a nice effect and connects to the Nu Gundam easy enough, and stays quite securely. No matter what height you have it at, it's not going to have any weight issues, really. And of course, the most iconic weapons of the Nu Gundam are the fin funnels, and you can detach these and reattach these in any order you see fit. But the standard pattern is to have them with the last one and then the second one extended, and then all the rest folded up. There's a little gray peg on the back of the Nu Gundam, and that's just going to fit snugly into this hole in the fin funnels, and there's a second one up here, so you can adjust those as you like. And that will just slide right on there. And the biggest problem for me with this is that as soon as you put that on there, these start to fold forwards instead of staying straight flush. And I feel that has to do with the fact that the hinges in between each of those are so thin and flimsy that it just doesn't keep that tight of a hold on it. Now to fold the fin funnels into their attack mode, you can just push these little connector bits back inside of the upper half there, and then you're going to fold the top and bottom part until it makes this shape, and then you can just set it on whatever surface you're displaying the Nu Gundam, and they look pretty cool. The only problem that I have with this is that you don't have any way to display them that comes with the kit, since there is no stand included with the Nu Gundam or little connection pieces just for the fin funnels themselves. And since the Nu Gundam doesn't come with an action base, I went ahead and purchased the Earth Federation logo base. And one thing I should note, if you're looking at getting any of these bases, I know it's not actually related to the Nu Gundam kit itself, but is that while they do look nice, this part here doesn't actually go up all that high, the part where you connect to the Gundam. That's the lowest you're going to have it at, and that's the highest you're going to have it at. You can adjust your angle a little bit with this piece, but it's not going to change it a whole lot. Now that I've got the Nu Gundam on an action base, you'll notice that the legs are just kind of bent here for one of them, and the other one's fleshed out, and part of that has to do with the fact that the leg postability is quite limited on this kit. It does get better, obviously, when you put him on an action base, but just standing by himself, all you're going to have is straight legs. But the other part of it is to try and keep the kit from tilting too much to the side, because the fin funnels are taking the weight this way, and while the die-cast metal parts in the feet distribute the weight a little bit better there, the one in the waist doesn't really do anything, and I feel like they should have put a small piece maybe in the bottom of the torso, because you can see the entire torso is tilting that way, just because of the weight of the fin funnels. So that wraps up part 2 of my Master Grade Nu Gundam review. Check back for part 3, and I will give my final thoughts on the kit. See you then.